Leadership is not about being the loudest voice in the room. It's about alignment, awareness, heart, and grit. I'm Tammy Ebright, leadership strategist, and this is Unleash Your Amazing Leadership. Join me as I chat with leaders who are evolving, growing, and creating real impact on purpose. Each week, you'll hear stories that inspire, challenge, and remind you of who you are. Let's dive in. Welcome back to Unleash Your Amazing Leadership. Today, my special guest is Levett Washington. Mr. Washington's extensive global business experience and proven leadership and organizational transformations make him an invaluable asset for corporate governance and the growth of African-based businesses. With a track record of achieving substantial cost savings, Mr. Washington offers strategic insights to enhance operational efficiency and drive sustainable growth. His current role as Chief Human Resources Officer and SVP of Human Resources at QAD Inc. demonstrates his expertise in compensation, employee experience, merger and acquisitions, and HR operations, which are critical for fostering effective governance and organizational development. He is passionate about developing people, building high-performance teams, and driving organizational success through strategic human resources leadership. Now, I met Levett several years ago through his beautiful wife, Pia, who is one of my dear friends, and I'm very grateful to have him here and share him with you guys today. Welcome.
Well, thank you, Tammy. I appreciate the invite as always, and it's great to see you again.
It's very good to see you. Tell me, what is a defining moment that has really shaped how you lead?
Well, I think back over my career and, if we're fortunate enough, there's usually 2 to 3 different defining moments throughout your career that helps pivot you one way or the other. I think back to sort of the very first decision or pivotal moment in my career that really helped shape and guide my career. I had just completed the executive management development program at Eaton Corporation, where they, send you around to, different plants, different office locations. It's a 2-year program that's designed to expose you to many different areas, not only HR, but also leadership. And once they completed that program, they offered me an opportunity to go manage a plant in the North Carolina area. And my mentor at the time said, "Is that really what you want to do?" He says, "If you need to think about what it is that you would like to do with your career and not just have someone else define or lay something out for you." That pivotal conversation that I had with him, basically what he was saying is, you should always own your career. Mm-hmm. And from that moment going forward, I was always the one that was driving my career, my decisions. And, which ultimately led me to make the first pivotal decision to leave Eaton Corporation and to join HR consulting group based in the United States that changed everything for me. So that was the very first one that changed my career trajectory. I brought all the leadership learnings that I had through the development program at Eaton into that next role, which then launched my career for the last 25 plus years. It really guided my career.
Very cool. And do you have any role models that have really made an impact with you on this journey? Now, I know a little bit of your background, of your story. You lost your father at a very young age. So tell me about your role models growing up that have really helped shape you.
There was several people in my in my life that really provided guidance and mentoring. Both male and female. I would say from my grandmother's standpoint, she was that spiritual connection and that guidance for me. My grandfather and my stepfather were that male role figure that really helped shape how I viewed the world and what my role and place within the world would be. And then when I think about the business world, I've been fortunate enough to have several mentors along the way that help me have discussions about my career or challenges that I had. So, both in the personal life as well as in the professional life, I've been fortunate enough. And as I mentor people today, I always tell them, you need a mentor. You need someone, whether it be a coach, a mentor, that can work with you through not only the tough times, but also through the good times, having those conversations, staying ahead. So yes, I've been very fortunate in that.
Very nice. And then you and your beautiful wife, you guys have been married for how many years now?
We've been married 32 years and together 42 years. We have 4 beautiful grown children, and we have 5 grandchildren that range in the age from a few months old all the way up to teenage years.
Wow, that's awesome. And you guys met, you were high school sweethearts, and I know that you guys wrote a book together a few seasons ago.
Yes, we actually met in junior high at the age of 13, and we went off to college together. And yes, we've co-authored a book together, and Pia has gone on to write other books as well. She's now fully retired ex-financial professional.
And so what has parenthood taught you about leadership?
Oh boy. When it comes to parenthood, it's I always have the saying that, you don't get a book to guide you through parenthood, right? And certainly, now it's more prevalent to have different, articles and magazines and things like that. But when we were raising our children, there weren't these books to kind of guide you and say, this is the best way to do it. And we probably wouldn't have followed them anyway. So when I look at, the parenting styles and how I would equate that to leadership, for me, it's about listening. I like to listen more and observe more than I do talking. And so I equate that, and I transfer that to my leadership styles. And several questions at times I've moved and changed careers, people would ask, well, what are you going to do within the first 30 to 60 days? And my answer has always been consistent. I'm going to listen and I'm going to observe. Don't get me wrong. If there's a fire or something that I need to put out and react to immediately when I join the organization, I will certainly do that. But my role within the first 90 days is to listen and observe, because I need to understand the culture. I need to understand the dynamics before coming in and trying to make changes. So took that from my parenting style. I like to listen to my kids. I like to observe my kids before just jumping in with an answer or solution. Oftentimes, the guys are stereotyped with, they just want to jump in with an answer. And I learned early on, just sit back, observe, and listen.
Yeah, I think it's really easy to jump in and be in that solution orientation. But I think our kids really, what they need is somebody to listen to them so that they can process. But also that's what humans need. Like sometimes tell people, you got to use your ears and your mouth appropriately.
So true. So true.
So is there any leadership mistakes that you've witnessed that has changed you and how you lead?
Yes. The one that comes to mind for me, and I struggled with this one for a while. I've been leading teams, for over 20 plus years. And early in my career, I wanted those teams that I led to operate like a family, like grouping of, family members. But what I found in business later on in that is a family dynamic or family unit is just that, a family outside of the professional world. Trying to incorporate the family component within the business world is very, very problematic, because there's always going to be tough conversations that you need to have with people. There are going to be boundaries that you need to establish with your team and others. So early on, I've learned, and I made the mistake of saying, this is a family. I want a family culture. And that really wasn't what I was trying to say. I was wanting a high-performing team, but not a family. So I had to change that nomenclature, because again, times when I've had to have difficult conversations with people around either their performance or to unfortunately let them go, that's not something that you would have with a family member. No, I should say, so establishing those boundaries and protocols becomes very important in the business world. And it's not that you're not empowering your team, believing in your team, loving your team. It's just not a family culture.
I love that, because a lot of places do talk about the family. And then I actually worked at an organization that they let go a part of the family right before Christmas, and the rest of the family did not feel very family-like. And you're right. An organization can love you, and you can love and care and take care of your employees, but they're a teammate. They're not your family. So I like how you phrased that, for sure. How do you stay grounded and lead from a place of authenticity?
Um, I remind myself that I am no better than my team.
Mhm.
I am a member of my team, whether it be my HR team, my leadership team. I'm just one of the members in that team. I constantly remind myself that I do not always know best. I have to again go back to that mode of listen, to be able to hear different perspectives. One, I know in this climate of age, everybody thinks diversity is a bad thing. However, diversity of thought can create or accelerate high performing teams, organizations, and culture faster than anything else. It's like you got a lot of different people with different perspectives and different ways in which to tackle a particular challenge or a problem. And if you're listening to those diverse thoughts and incorporating those diverse thoughts, you end up with a much better product. Because if I'm only bringing my perspective into a situation or to an issue, then I can only use what I brought to my experiences to the table. Someone else may have had a completely different set of experiences that will add to our solution. So for me, it's about incorporating those different thoughts, diversity in thinking, to help with a better solution.
What I hear you say is it's more about intentional diversity, pulling in people that have different skill sets to make more of a well-rounded team.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I've had the pleasure of traveling around the world and working with so many different cultures. You can see represented from behind me. So it's just pieces of items that I've collected, and what those cultures and what they bring to the table, to solutions, to business challenges, is unique. And to try to drown that out would be a huge mistake. One of the lessons that I've learned, through my professional career is that not all solutions work in every single situation. In consulting, oftentimes you say, okay, well, here's my playbook and here's how I want to tackle this particular issue and problem for this company. I've done it over here. So I'm going to bring that same playbook. Well, you bring that same playbook to, let's say, EMEA, where their rules and regulations are different. You bring that same playbook to India, where their culture and their habits are totally different. And you will find quickly that your American playbook does not play so well. So you have to be flexible.
Yes, and tailor things to each individual. I think that that's what I like about, what I do is, understanding the person on a kind of a scientific basis and then helping them find success in their way, bringing teams and looking at them and understanding their goals as a whole, and then helping them achieve success based on who they are, not our preconceived notions of how things should be.
Yes, so true.
So you've helped organizations redesign and retool their HR functions to meet future needs. How do you see the biggest shift in HR leaders preparing for today?
The biggest thing that my colleagues and I are talking about now is the impact of AI into the workforce in general, but also into HR. I've encouraged my team to adopt AI technology and strategies in their everyday work. Let's face it, every organization wants you to be much more efficient about how you go about your work. As I tell my team, we're not getting any larger at this point in time. So, growth of headcount is pretty much stable or flat. So how do you get to be more efficient? How do you use AI to help you in your day-to-day, whether it be rules and regulations, writing job descriptions, or even just evaluating or help the AI to help you evaluate your thought process? Oftentimes we use Gemini internally, and I'll talk to Gemini. Hey, I'm thinking about this. Oh, well, have you thought about this? Oh, well, how would this play out in another country? Well, these rules and regulations here in this country would probably prevent that way of working. So my colleagues and I, we're talking about AI and the impact that it's going to have on the next generations that are coming.
I think that's very innovative. especially coming from a human resources professional. And I think that some of the things that I've learned with AI is, the more clear and specific you are, the better results that you get. Do you have any ideas or tips that you would share with somebody who is using AI in their human resources processes?
Absolutely. So I'll give an example. Earlier on, I talked about owning my career, right? And I've
Mhm.
made many different kind of pivots along the way from, just being pure HR to HR technology, transformation, change management. So a lot of different pivots along the way, but building that career. In helping some of our colleagues develop their career paths, utilizing AI and saying, hey, I'm starting out as a junior engineer with these particular skill sets. Where do you see me growing within the next 5 to 7 years? AI is a perfect example of helping you develop a career path and throwing different ideas out. And they may throw something out like a progressive engineer, and it's like, well, I don't want to do coding, so let's take a different route. Oh, maybe you want to go into the technology platform or the infrastructure platform. So I'm just using that as an example. But when you really embrace AI, it can become an assistant to how you think, providing insights that you may not have thought of. It may give you perspectives that, oh, I didn't think about maybe this gap in a skill set that I have that I can potentially work to close over the next couple of years. Especially, here in the United States, we don't typically often think global, but the minute you step outside of the United States, there's a whole other different issues and challenges that if you're wanting to grow your career in an area where you're going to be exposed to the global business environment at some point, those are skills that you have to obtain and close any gaps that you might have. And AI can help point some of those things out for you.
That's really cool. I've been playing with it a little bit with my clients' designs. I use that tool that is called Human Design that's based on when we're born, and I can put their traits into it and kind of play with marketing plans or suggestions on how they can better utilize their energy and just really go back and forth and brainstorm with AI on ways to really help each individual. So I think that that's really kind of similar to what you're
Yeah.
saying.
I was going to say, I like to use the analogy. If you think about it, and I'll show my age here a little bit, but when spell check first came out, right? Everybody goes, spell check. Oh, man, what? Well, it over time, it helped you become a better speller, help you create, your sentences and your grammar better. Well, AI is just the next step in that evolution, right? It's a way in which it can enhance or, enhance your way of thinking or your thought process. I don't think I shouldn't say that, but it's not about replacing people. It's about helping people become more efficient and better at what they do.
I would agree. I sometimes say it's very similar to even Google. The clearer you get when we first got Google, because I'm that old, you might put something in and you would get all of these big results, but the clearer you were with Google, the better search results you would get. So I think that's
Yes.
the same thing with AI. The clearer you are about what you want, instead of like just one sentence prompts, doesn't really get you as much as a paragraph of being very clear and specific of what you're looking for, and then asking it, things like, what else do you need from me to help me gain clarity on this?
Yes, absolutely. And one of the things that my team, we've established a global service desk for HR, and the employees can reach out and have questions. Managers can reach out. I look forward to the day when a manager or an employee could type in what they want into an AI and have that AI go get that information from either our HR systems or from our knowledge repository, in a safe, controlled environment within the corporate world. We're not quite there yet, but we're getting there. There's some wonderful things that'll be coming out in the supply chain area, as well as the human resource area, that will really enhance the manager and employee productivity.
Yeah, a friend of mine that I mastermind with, she actually created her own little add-on into ChatGPT that she uploaded the tools that we learned in our certification class, so that we could be more specific with with the query. whenever we're, putting in information on our clients. I'm, trying to help with that. And I think that that's super cool. I was like, wow, you did that. Like we met on Wednesday, and then like by the next Wednesday, she had this test pilot. And I was so amazed at how quickly you can create a database
Yes.
like that. So HR is often seen as a support function, yet you've helped really eliminate or elevate it into a strategic driver. How do you reframe HR's role when talking to executive leaders?
So I think the very first thing that I've done in my career is to really define those areas within HR. People often think about HR and they think, oh, generalists, these groups do it all, right? But the first thing you do is define which groups in HR does what. And then from there, you empower your what I call HR business partners to be that strategic partner to the business. They're not there to execute a transaction for you. They're not there to tell you about benefits. They're here to help you think through the workforce plan. They're here to help you think about what skills you'll need in the next 2 to 3 years to help drive your business forward. So by breaking up HR into those different groups and then empowering pieces of that group to then become the strategic partner to the business leaders, that's the way in which I've helped HR get a seat at the table with the executive leadership team. I partner a lot with the CEO, and I find myself, again, bringing different ideas and challenges and different ways of thinking to him so that he knows that, again, I'm not here just to, open up a job rec, right? Let's talk about where the business is going. Let's talk about the challenges that you see. And then let's talk about how people how people will then help fuel some of those changes as you go forward.
I love that. That's very insightful and innovative, right? To not just look and focus on your own department, but look at the company as a whole and be a part of that as the people manager, really, as a people leader.
Yes.
You've spent more than 25 years in HR transformational programs. What originally drew you into the world? And how come you've been so passionate about it for so long?
I will show my age here. When I very first started in human resources, it was called personnel. And I remember going through, of course, getting my degree in human resource management, that very first job. And I worked as an intern. I was fortunate enough to work as an intern in the summer, even prior to graduating from college. And there was just something about helping. I know this is going to sound cliche, but there was something about helping people within a business setting solve issues and challenges that they might have. And so that started my love for, okay, well, if they say people are the most important asset of an organization, then how do you develop those people? How do you ensure that they have the right skill sets? How do you make sure that you're looking out for them from health and welfare programs? How can you bring things to them that will enhance their work-life balance? So that's where it all started from. It started from a desire to really help people within the corporate environment. And then from there, it is just transformed into so many other different things.
So with employee development being a part of your central work, how do you create programs that not only upskill, but also inspire them to grow personally?
I think it's about providing those opportunities, both from a learning textbook, classroom style learning, but also it's about providing those opportunities that they can either engage within the business with a mentor, or providing those experiences that they can then learn from, whether it be a project, whether it be some type of program, some type of initiative that they can then be a part of while not giving up their day-to-day job. So I encourage people all the time, don't look at learning and development as just, oh, I'm showing up for a classroom. Don't look at it as just mentoring and coaching. Don't look at it as just the experiences. You have to take all of those things in totality to be able to say, this is how I'm going to develop myself in this way to help me progress in my career.
It's like owning their career.
Yes,
like you were
I have stood by that statement for over 30 years, is that you have to own your career. No one can tell you, oh, well, you're going to do this, and then 6 months from now, you're going to go do that. And 12 months from now, you're going to go do that. That's just not how careers, they don't fall
Mhm.
into that direct line. It looks almost like a Planko board going in reverse, right? It's like, oh, I've done this, I've done that, I've done that. And, 15 years, you'll look up and you go, wow, I do have that experience. I do have the ability to help organizations through mergers and acquisitions. Where did I get that from? Oh, that's right. I was a part of the team that did the
Mhm.
due diligence on this particular acquisition. And now I'm able to bring that to my team and help them think about the things that they need to look for. But if you would have said, oh, Levett, you're going to know anything about mergers and acquisitions? I'm in HR. Why would I know anything about mergers and acquisitions? But if you're willing to be coachable and flexible and take those opportunity to experience different things and be a part of different initiatives, trust me, your career will be much more well-rounded when you look back.
I like that. It's a part of that diversity, right? It's getting those different experiences that really help you along the way. And sometimes it doesn't always feel like it's directly related. If you're a volunteer and you're off time and you lead a team there, but you haven't really had that opportunity inside your career, that is still something that is building your skills and
Yeah.
empowering you to own your career.
I know we started early on talking about, just sort of the different pivots and different moves in early in my career. But I think back to how HR has transformed.
Mhm.
And it was being slightly ahead of the times that really has helped me. For example, in the prior mentioned earlier, in the personnel days, you had a file cabinet and people were walking into the personnel office. Well, as organizations evolved and became more global, it says, wait a minute, we can't have people in every single one of these locations. How do you establish a global shared service desk for HR? Well, I was doing that as a part of my work in the late 90s that then became something that all organizations strive to do if they were over a certain number. How
Mm.
do you be more efficient in HR without increasing your cost? How can you increase the customer service? And how can you use technology to enable that? Well, that's just an example of how early in my career I was exposed to something and I took advantage of it that then helped me 10 years later in my career.
That's really cool. Yeah, it's almost like planting seeds in our lives along the way to see what blossoms later on.
Absolutely. And don't get me wrong, there's things I've done in HR that I go, oh boy, I'm glad I will never have to do that again. But it certainly is, you've experienced it so that you can now say, okay, been there, done it, got a t-shirt and a hat. So,
What does unleash your amazing leadership mean to you?
I think for me, it means leading authentically. It
Mhm.
means that I am the type of leader that my team can appreciate, approach, and engage with. I often think that prior to my career development, prior to my career, I used to think, oh wow, the executives are unapproachable. They would never
Mhm.
want to speak with the employees down here that are individual contributors. And so that always stuck in the back of my mind. And I always wanted to be that type of leader that was approachable, that had an open door. I wanted to be that type of leader that, again, listens more than what they put out,
Mhm.
one that incorporated diversity of thought, allowing others to contribute, not always coming in with the solution, just allowing my teams to come up with a solution. So when I think about unleashing that amazing or unleashing that authentic leadership, it's about bringing all of those qualities and attributes together to empower not me, but my team, right? Helping them to develop in their leadership so that they're then ready to take on that next role.
Do you see any, other than AI, any workforce development trends impacting organizational development in the next 5 to 10 years?
Oh, well, there are companies out there right now, and we are piloting one of those companies where they have a AI coach that is interacting with the managers. So we put the manager through scenarios and they're just talking into the AI, and the AI is giving them different scenarios, allowing the managers to respond to those scenarios, and then giving them feedback on how they have, how they responded. While AI is embedded within that, I see
Mhm.
more and more of this interaction between technology and humans only growing. Now, that's not to say that, again, it's not going to replace humans, but I think it's going to speed up one's evolution, one's insight. So those are some of the trends that I see in the development space. And I mentioned earlier about, you can type into Gemini and say, I'm starting out as an accountant one, and I want to become a finance manager within the next 10 years. It'll start to list all those things out for you. The human interaction with technology will only continue to grow.
Yeah, I think it's important that everybody embraces it. One of the things that I'm currently noticing, though, is it's not always correct. AI is not always correct. And so you also have to be discerning, or if you're using it in your business, kind of like I do sometimes with my clients, I still have to be the expert in my field in order to interpret it and be like, no, you're not right. That's wrong. So with using it like that, do you experience that where you see it like output things that are not correct currently?
Sure. Always the phantom kind of questions or the phantom answers that it'll bring back. And I always say trust but verify. So if I'm researching new rules and regulations in another country around the world, I'm going to bounce it off of my attorneys and say, hey, this is what I'm hearing. This is what I'm saying. Can you validate this? Or can you tell me what this means? I don't wholeheartedly take everything that AI says as the kind of the gospel. So it's that trust but verify. I know PSG constantly fights with it because she goes, that word is not spelled correctly. What do you mean? And she's a grammar impedentary, so she'll be fussing at, that's not how you do that. That's not how you spell that. So no, you always have to trust but verify. Many organizations or many of the AI tools that are kind of open publicly, I really question a lot of times because, again, how do these machines, it's part of machine learning, you keep feeding it stuff, and the more stuff that you feed it, it assumes that is the correct answer. Well, you can feed it a lot of garbage and a lot of garbage will come out. So that's why I always encourage, use multiple AI tools. Like I said, we have one that's internal to QAD. It doesn't touch our data and information is not shared outside of our model. But we can go to ChatGPT. We just don't put any corporate data in there or, just information that is proprietary, but internally we can do that. So using multiple tools will also then help.
Yeah, that's really smart. Spreading it around and verifying, learn, but also verify that it's the correct data.
And if you're using it to code, you'll know real quickly it's giving you bad information. That is not what that was supposed to come out to be.
No, that's not right.
Yeah.
Well, it's been such a pleasure chatting with you today. If somebody wanted to get in touch with you, how could they connect with you?
Certainly can connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm out there. I can share my bio and my profile from LinkedIn. And that's probably the best way to get in touch with me.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing your time with me today. I really appreciate it. And I will look forward to future conversations.
It's been an absolute pleasure, Tammy. Thank you again for the invite.
You're welcome.
Thanks for listening to Unleash Your Amazing Leadership. If this episode resonated, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss what's next. Want more support or curious about working together? Visit unleashyouramazing.com to explore coaching, workshops, and ways to connect. Until next time, keep showing up and unleashing your amazing.